And welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Kevin McDonald, and right there, that's her. That's Rochelle right there. We've got a great show for you today. We've got a wonderful guest who's got a dynamic sense of humor. They got a podcast, which we're going to get into, and she's also got a company that she works with, doesn't she, Rochelle?
Yes, Gretchen Schoser is the one to have on your team. She has a website if you want to follow along. There's going to be a few things, but schosersolutions.com is where to go. And she knows all about mental health and well-being. And Kevin, we need a lot of that. So we get to have these conversations to keep carrying it on, right?
Exactly. It's better to have it early on than it is to wait for a disaster to strike or so that people can continue to work and continue to contribute. So with that, we're going to play the opening right now, and then we're going to bring our Gretchen right in. There's a moment in every life when you decide to rise.
To stand taller than your fear.
To speak louder than your doubt.
To chase the vision that sets your soul on fire.
This is that moment. And here we walk it together with stories that awaken, voices that inspire,
and truths that set you free.
This is Positive Talk Radio with Kevin
and with Rochelle,
where hope has a voice.
And that voice is yours.
And welcome to the show, everybody. My name again is Kevin, and Rochelle is right there. And guess who we get to talk to, Rochelle?
You know, I heard of somebody named Gretchen Schoser, and oh my gosh, she's here. Gretchen, how are you?
I am so good. Thank you both for having me on your show. I'm so excited to be here.
It is amazing because you're doing a lot of really good things for people, including a great podcast, which we are going to talk about. We can even say the name of the podcast, because YouTube doesn't frown on it. So why should we? And so we're going to talk about that, and also the company that she's created to help businesses understand that sometimes we all need a little help, and sometimes that's mental help as well. And we need to, if we want to succeed, we could choose to take care of all of our people, and not only their physical needs, but their mental needs as well. Because, Rochelle, I don't know about you, but I think all of us at one point or another have got mental needs once or twice.
Yeah, I think we all have a few of them, and that's okay because they can be our superpower, right, Gretchen?
Oh, for sure. They could there's two sides to it. It could either be your superpower, or it could be that one thing that finally gets you to the place where you need to be, which is getting the help.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody needs, from time to time, they need help. As a matter of fact, we just had a meeting with a gentleman. His name is Sean. He's going to be on the show. He got shot in both legs. He got shot in his back. He got shot in his head. He lost his 8-month-old daughter. He had divorce. He was divorced, and all of his kids went away. And I tell you, and he's still sane. That just goes to show you that getting the proper help that you need can help you through just about anything. Gretchen, do you agree with that?
I agree 100%. For me, like, part of my story is that I'm a true extrovert and an empath. And at the time, nobody knew how depressed I was because I wore a mask. And if you are an extroverted person out there, you probably are wearing the same mask I wore for months. So when I finally opened up about how depressed I was, people were terrified because they didn't understand that somebody like me could not be willing, but I was at that point. I was 20 minutes within taking my life on Christmas Day 2022. And a lot of that stemmed from tons of burnout at work and some really horrible things that happened in the last quarter of 2022. But even I would show up to work every single day and nobody noticed because I had that great mask on. Like, everything's fine. Yeah, I'm good. I would go into meetings. I would laugh. I'd play around. On the inside of my head, I'm dead. I'm I don't want to talk to any of you. I hate you all. I don't want to take care of your problems anymore, but I'm being a good person. And it was just a never-ending circle. And the fact that nobody noticed how depressed I was, that was the scary part.
Well, Gretchen, you are a successful businesswoman and you've got a podcast going on and you got a lot of things. And so you're very successful. And I'm very grateful that the one thing that you failed at was taking your own life. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Here in the States, we have a phone number. It's 988. I talk about it on every single podcast I go on. I don't care who you are, what job you're in, what you're doing in your life. If you are in crisis, and I honestly mean that, in crisis, and you don't have anybody to talk to, pick up the phone and call 988. It is not only a suicide hotline, it is a crisis hotline. There are people out there to help. They literally saved my life that day.
And I'll tell you one more thing. If you are a military veteran, 988 and then hit the number 1, and you will go to somebody who has been in the service that can help you, because right now we have an epidemic. I was talking to somebody the other day. The published numbers, like 22 veterans a day are committing suicide. The numbers probably double that or more. It is a national crime. We should all be ashamed of that number. Don't you think, Gretchen?
Oh, yeah. What's heartbreaking to me is that, since January 20th, 2025, both the attempts and the full-on suicides have almost tripled. That's a horrifying statistic. Horrifying. And, we all know the world's on fire right now. I get it. But there is help out there, people. And you know what? You are wanted, you are needed, you are loved. And this world is a better place because you're here. So take that chance on you. I did. And my hand was shaking so bad when I called that phone number, and I had the pills in my hand. But I decided to make that choice because I had this little glimmer. I don't even know what to call it, like a little glimmer that things were going to get better. And they did. So I want people to see me as a story of hope, because even on my darkest day, I was able to turn everything around. And I am the happiest I've been in like 20 years now. But it took a lot of work, because there's not an easy button to get over depression.
No, congratulations, Purcell. She sounds like she should be running Positive Talk Radio.
I know. I'm like, you want to come see us all the time? No, Gretchen, I was just sharing earlier today that it's nice when you get to talk to people that will just be authentic and just be human with you, that just kind of get it. We've been through these things and we have these thoughts. I was talking with my mom the other day about my intrusive thoughts. And I told her, I was like, I don't think that I would ever share half of the things that go through my mind. And I think there's something wrong with me. But I realize that we all have those things. We just choose to let them define us. And maybe it's a little bit of fear and a whole bunch of other things. But when it boils down to it, I thought, if we were to treat ourselves as the person we love the most, what would that change? Because just like you, Gretchen, I called that hotline. I was in my car and I was ready to take off down the road. Didn't know what I was going to run into or when. I was just going to go as fast as I could in my car until it stopped. And I called that line and they said they were going to come find me. And I was like, oh, no. No, don't come find me. And I think that's what shifted something, because I thought to myself, who would find me? What would happen? Would it affect somebody else? Would I be causing more pain out of my pain? And is there somebody who loves me enough to help me more than I would want to make this decision? The answer is always yes. So do not be, if you're already afraid of life, what do you have to lose by telling somebody, I need help because I'm at my last string? Most people want to be that person there for you, and you are not a burden. You are just human. Gretchen, do you agree?
I agree. And, I wear a sweatshirt now, and it says, and on the back, it says Dear Person. And if you guys have seen the Dear Person sweatshirts, I wear that all the time now. And it says right across the front, you are enough. You are enough. And don't feel shame. Don't feel weakness. And that was part of my problem is, I was 59 and a half when all this hell went down in my life. And I was mad. I was mad at myself because I couldn't fix myself. I could fix everybody else. Apparently, I was doing a fine job at that, but I could not fix me. So I felt weak and I felt shame. But you know what? There's no weakness in asking for help. There's no shame in asking for help. And that's what I had to come to terms with, is that I needed help. And I couldn't even tell my wife. My wife and I had been together for 28 years. She had no idea. I work remote. I'd be on Zoom meetings all day long, joking and laughing. My coworkers had no idea until I opened up into social media. I opened up to social media on December 26th, and I let people know what was going on with me. People were terrified. But here's what changed. I had about 200 people reach out to me and say thank you, because now they didn't feel alone and terrified in their own journey. And that was one of my healers. And I wanted people to know that it's okay to talk about this. As mad as I was at myself, I knew that that's one thing that I needed to talk about, is let people know that where I'm at, because it's not fair to them. It definitely wasn't fair to me. So if you're wearing a mask right now, please just take it off and go ask for help, because at the end of the day, all it does is hurt you and nobody else around you.
And I've got a couple of things real quick. If you've been on the planet a while, like I've been on the planet longer than you, so there. But if you've been on the planet a while, you will have known somebody or several somebodies who have been successful at taking their own life because they didn't think anybody cared. They didn't think anybody was out there. They thought they were all alone. And then after that was done, from the other side, they found out that a bunch of people loved them and everybody was devastated. So don't devastate people because you think that you are all by yourself. It's just not true. But you have a podcast, and the name of the podcast is Shit That Goes On in Our Heads. I love the title of that. And that is a great segue to also your business that you're running and developing all of that. So, the shit that goes on in our heads, and we're even allowed to say that. I feel silly saying it, Rochelle, but we're allowed. But it's an important aspect. And thank you for coming out of it, coming out of the depression and doing what you're doing, because it is, I don't know if you've noticed this, but in our country, it is so needed right now.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
Maybe just a smidge, because everything's sunshine and roses. I don't know, but it's needed. And so, like, talking about the podcast. So the podcast started because of me and my co-host, who at the time, and I use the term super duper loosely, was my manager at the time. But we would call each other every morning and we would laugh about stuff you should never laugh about. But what it did is it helped me with my depression, because if you start laughing in the morning, it gets rid of that cortisol, gets some serotonin going, gets some endorphins going. And we would be like in the middle of the day on a meeting and just start laughing, and people would be like, "Why are you laughing?" And we couldn't tell them why we were laughing, because we were probably talking about them first thing this morning. So it was during one of those conversations, she's like, "Hey, let's do a podcast." And I was like, "Okay, let's do a podcast." So we did our first show we released it on February 14th, 2023. And that was in honor of my mom, because as part of my healing journey, I kind of wanted to change the trajectory of that day, because we had buried my mom on Valentine's Day in 1997. And so I wanted to do something that would make me a little bit happier. And, the joke, we thought, oh, you know what? We're going to do like 3 shows and be done. But that was not the case. We're like in season 17 now, and we've had amazing guests, but the whole mission behind our podcast is to normalize how we talk about mental health, because every time somebody shares their story, they unlock somebody else's prison. And the more that people realize that they're not alone in their own journey, helps them find the help that they need. And we give a ton of resources. We still love doing our podcast. We record 1 Saturday a month, record like 7 episodes. Yeah, by Sunday, I'm completely burned out. Like, don't ever call me the day after we record, because I'm done. But, we laugh and we are still the best of friends. I get to do this with my best friend. And every time we bring a guest on, we learn something about ourselves. So it's kind of like free therapy. But we did the podcast, and it's crazy how it's taken off. But I'm happy about it. And like not too long after we started like running the podcast, like it was like midsummer 2023, we got an email from a listener, and they said that our podcast helped save their life. That's truly what our mission is to make sure people are taking care of themselves. And yeah, and we do laugh. We laugh at some of the hard stuff, because here's what laughter does. It helps you digest some of that really hard conversations, and it makes us feel real. And our show's not scripted by any means. We curse a lot, kind of like tapered off on that so much, but the F word does come out occasionally. But I get to do the things that I love. And I got to really work a lot on the podcast because I took an early retirement in August of 2023. And that's why I said, like, my manager, like, it was super short term. It was like from January to April. I'm like, deuces, I'm gone. But I took 6 months off before I started like going back to work. And I did that intentionally because I was still healing. I was going to therapy like almost every day because I didn't realize how broken I was. And, hindsight is 2020. I can go back and look at some of the things that happened in 2022. I had taken early retirement from work. And this is for all the employers out there. If you are offering early retirement to your employees, I don't know, maybe check in on them and make sure they're okay. Because here's what happened. As soon as I signed my papers that I was going to retire early, they took away every single job responsibility I had. And I'd worked for the company for 15 years. So I sat around for 8 hours a day doing absolutely nothing. Check in on your employees. That's step number one. Like, if you really care about your employees and people that have like put in their blood, sweat, and tears for your company, check in on them. It takes a 5-minute conversation or a phone call to see how we are doing mentally, and like ask a question that we actually have to answer. Don't ask me how my day's going, because I'm going to tell you, I'm living the dream. Okay. Like, not really living the dream, but in my head, I'm living the dream. So ask those pointed questions. Like, have a vested interest in your employees.
That's a great point, because a lot of times, and we need to talk more about mental illness and also how businesses respond or lack of respond, which is what you're creating with the company that you've created. Rochelle, there are a couple of websites we want to point to, correct?
Yes. I will have Gretchen remind us of the podcast, but the business one, you can go to schosersolutions.com. That's SCHOSER solutions.com. And she's got about her, the services, the news, the resources, and a way to get in touch, along with a phone number and an email.
And then if you want to get out to the podcast, just go out to goesonourheads.net. We are everywhere. Literally everywhere. It scares me how everywhere we are.
Isn't it fun that you get to be, because we're in 170 countries around the world, and stuff, and it's just great fun. And congratulations. I'm glad that it is working out well for you, and it's all going great. And one of the things that we want to talk about, we do these points to ponder. And one of the things that I think is very important for all of us to remember is that we need a little bit of self-compassion. Rochelle, do you think?
We could use just a tad more of that, people. So take a look at this.
Why is it, do you suppose, that we are our own harshest critics, maintaining a standard for ourselves that we would never demand of a friend? We mistake self-criticism for discipline, but real growth requires a different environment, one of self-compassion. When we quiet the internal judge, we find the clarity and the energy we need to actually improve. True strength begins with the peace you make with yourself. Welcome back to Gretchen's mouth is open. I'm not exactly sure why, but welcome back to my name is Kevin and Rochelle is right there. And Gretchen, what did you think of that piece?
I almost started crying. That was awesome.
I'm glad you enjoyed it because, self-compassion is a lost art in a lot of our world. And we would say, and I know that because Rochelle and I have had this conversation, that in the past, not anymore, thank goodness, but in the past, she would say things to herself that she would never say to anybody else. Wouldn't you, Rochelle?
Yeah, it reminds me of also the one we have, the mirror. When you think of other people as a mirror and then you're like, oh, well, they, that, and this, that, and blah, blah, blah. And then you wonder, well, how am I mirroring? And then you actually see yourself for the first time in the mirror. Gretchen, did you have a moment where you saw yourself fully again in the mirror and it did something different on the inside?
Oh, Gretchen, before you answer that, I would love to play this. It's only 28 seconds, but I think this will be impactful for our listeners and for all of us as well. Here's another point to ponder by Positive Talk Radio. A woman spent years hating the reflection in her mirror. One day, she whispered, "I am enough." Day by day, her reflection became her friend. Self-love begins with the words you tell yourself. Speak gently because you are listening. This is brought to you by Positive Talk Radio, where stories of hope come alive. What do you think, Gretchen?
What a perfect segue. Because as soon as I started therapy, that's what they told me to start doing. Because part of what my problem was negative self-talk. I talk worse to myself than I talk to anybody else, even within a text message. Because you all know when we're texting people, we can be whatever we want to be. We don't have to be nice because we're not standing in front of them. But one of the things my therapist did teach me was to take a mirror and talk to myself and let myself know that I love myself and I am enough, and that no matter what comes into my little crazy black box of drama, that I can handle it. And she also helped me set boundaries. Boundaries were huge for me. In the 59 years I'd been on the planet, I hadn't heard about boundaries. God, how I wish I would have known that 20 years ago. Things would have been so much better. But that being nicer to yourself, and I don't care where you're at. You could be at home, you could be at work, you could be in the car, you could be with your kids, you could be with a friend or at a bar. I don't know. Don't say those mean things to yourself because your energy just feeds into it. Do something better, like Rochelle said, and say positive things to yourself because it does change the trajectory of where that intrusive thought's coming from. And for me, winter was hard here in upstate New York. It was horrible. I had the little devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other, and I have my own business, but I don't have insurance. And I really wanted to go sledding. Really, really, really wanted to go. But every time I would have that little intrusive thought from the devil over here, I'd be like, listen, dude, I don't have any insurance. I can't afford to break a hip. And so I would make jokes about these intrusive thoughts that were coming into my head. And it made things better for me. It made me realize how badly I've been talking to myself and how badly I've been treating myself. And slowly but surely, I started treating myself better. And I created my own little temple, the Temple of Gretchen. Nobody wants to come in it. But I'm okay with that because it's my temple. And don't mess with my temple. But I started making better decisions and better business decisions. And it changed the trajectory of kind of how we do our show now, what I decided to do with my business, and how I just don't compromise anymore. Listen, I'm past that point of my life. I don't compromise. Either it's something I'm all in or I ain't gonna do it. And I'm not silent about it anymore. A couple of months before I started my business, I had been working for another small consulting firm and they got purchased by one of the top 5 big consulting firms. At the time I was 60 and I'm like, nope. This isn't going to happen. But here's what happened this time. is I was very vocal about how I felt. I had taken the mask off. Everybody knew that I was not happy because here's the funny thing. I would get on calls and I would have resting bitch face, and there was no turning that off because once it came on, it was not going to come back off.
Mhm.
And so, like, several people would be like, you need to come off camera. I'm like, well, it doesn't matter if I'm on or off camera. I'm still going to have resting bitch face. Okay. So, listen, you can call me on FaceTime. I'm still going to have the same face. But it was that helped me to kind of get through that couple of months, because towards the end of December is when my wife told me it was okay for me to quit my job. And that's when I decided I was going to open my own company. But, I had to check myself, and I couldn't even check myself because I was so mad. But this time I wasn't silent about it. At least people knew how I felt. And whether you like it or not, I don't care. Listen, I'm going to be 63 in a couple of months. You either like me or you don't. Like, there's no in between.
Well, you grow up, I'm guessing you were a people pleaser like no other people pleaser.
You think?
I do. Because, I started Positive Talk in 2003, and I had never heard of boundaries before until a coach came in and started talking about boundaries. It was a new thing back then. So it is relatively young as far as setting your boundaries and being true to who you are. And that means not violating the boundaries that you set for yourself because they are important to your well-being.
They are. And here's another cool thing for employers. Listen, if somebody says they cannot work weekends or nights, that is their boundary. They may have something that they cannot get out of. Don't pressure them or force them to work those nights and weekends, because all it's going to do is make that employee more and more bitter.
Yep.
Like it's almost like you're holding their feet to the fire. They're like, there's other ways to do that. And, maybe ask for volunteers. Be nicer when you ask that question. Don't have it sound like something that it's forced on them. There's a lot of burnout going on right now at work. People don't only have their normal day-to-day like work stuff going on, but there's a lot of noise coming in from the outside. A lot. If you live here in the States, you know that it's an S show, because I'm trying to be better about not using the bad words. It is a true S show out there, right? So employers need to start recognizing when people are getting burned out. They need to start recognizing stress. They need to start putting up the 988 phone number on the bulletin boards at work, or at least give their employees a card. If you have an ESP program out there, make that stuff available to your employees, because you absolutely have zero idea what's going on with them. Don't assume. And maybe, I don't know, be kind. Do you know how to be kind? It's not that hard. Like, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all.
Oh, be kind. Don't be silly. And by the way, I know you're trying to watch your language, but resting bitch face is just self-descriptive, and it's kind of and you made Brachelle giggle. By the time this episode's over, her cheeks are going to hurt again.
I'm sorry.
And I'll say it is a shit show out there, but we maybe can make it more of a peace show.
Yeah.
Just something. It's so funny how we are starting protests for peace and then we're getting hurt.
Yeah.
You guys aren't getting this right. And that's why we have people like you, Gretchen. I just think it is so impactful for so many people to hear your story, because you were 60 years old and you were like, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm just going to be me. I'm going to finally do what I want to do and take care of me. And I'm not going to care about all the noise. I'm not going to let that stuff affect me and run me and overwhelm me. And I think that you should wear a badge every single day, no matter what you do when you go out with that, because we hear all the time that it's impossible or it's too late. And you're here to show us the opposite. And I want to say for our leaders out there, as Gretchen was saying, to take care of your employees, take care of yourself the same way. And I think it will take you a lot further.
And we need to take our halftime break, and I'm going to play another Points to Ponder that I think is going to resonate with you, because you just said one of my favorite words in the entire English language, which is kindness doesn't cost a thing. A smile is free. You get to use that at your discretion whenever you want to. So you don't have to be silent bitch face. You can be a kind person and stuff. So, and Michelle, her website again before we go to break.
Yes, make sure that you're visiting both of them that she has. SchoserSolutions.com is where you can go for all the business stuff. And goesoninOurhead.net is where you can find everything for the podcast. Make sure you check those out and don't go anywhere, because we're going to be back.
And we're going to play something about kindness right after the station break. You're listening to Positive Talk Radio Network. We're on a mission to entertain, enlighten, empower, and educate through inspiring music, dynamic conversations, and yes, laughter. Join me, Kevin McDonald, and Rochelle as we declare our freedom from hate, division, and fear, and celebrate a better way of living. Go to positivetalkradio.net to find out more. The strength of staying kind from your friends at Positive Talk Radio. Kindness is not weakness. It takes real strength to stay kind in a world that often rewards anger, ego, and control. Being kind means choosing to act from your values, not your wounds. It means showing grace even when no one's watching. But kindness doesn't mean being passive. It doesn't mean letting people take advantage of your time, your energy, or your peace. You can be kind and still say no. You have a soft heart with firm boundaries. The strongest people I know are the ones who choose compassion without losing themselves. They've been hurt. They've been tested. And still, they choose to love and lead and to lift others anyway. Kindness is not about pleasing everybody. It's about honoring who you are and how you treat others, even when it's hard. So stay kind, stay human, and stay strong. And always remember this, be kind to one another, because each other's all we've got. And welcome back to Positive Talk. I love this episode. I do. My name is Kevin, and Rochelle is right there, and Gretchen
Schoser, right? Schoser?
Schoser. It's like sh with a hoser in the back of it. Schoser.
Yeah, Hoser. You're Schoser. And Gretchen, what did you think of that piece?
I loved that piece. And you know what? It like your commercial says, kindness costs nothing. It doesn't, but like, I'm going to take that one step further. If you are in a store and you see somebody wearing a name tag, I don't know, call them by name, right? Because these people stand behind the counter all day long and probably get yelled at like 8,700 times. But you say their name, it changes the trajectory of their day. Somebody's getting angry with you about something. They may have something horrible going on in their life, and they just can't share it with you. When you are kind to somebody, it changes the trajectory of their day. And it's the same with like finding your joy, right? Joy is intentional. So you want to bring a little bit of joy into somebody's life. I don't know, be nice to them.
And Gretchen, I'll even take it one step further. I drove a bus in Seattle for 12 years, and it was an articulated bus, and could be as many as 60 or 70 people on that bus. I, as the bus driver, could change the energy and the vibration of the entire bus by how I behaved. If I was accepting and kind and said hello to everybody and hi, how you doing? The energy was much lighter and much better. And there are lots of bus drivers that they don't even talk to the clientele because they go ahead, Michelle.
I want to take that even a step further, because Kevin, by you doing that, it caused a ripple effect with the people on the bus and how they felt about each other. Maybe they weren't so judgmental. Maybe they related. Maybe they even made eye contact. And that's one thing, Gretchen, I would love to ask you is when you opened up, and of course you've always been somebody that can give love rather than be the one receiving all of it and feeling lonely and lost inside. But did it help you to do those random acts of kindness for other people and know you were creating that ripple effect through you being here as a way to kind of know that you weren't so alone in it?
I think a little bit, yeah, because like if I was able to make somebody else feel better about their day, it made me feel like a little less worse in myself. I mean, I'm gonna say like I started therapy on December 26th, 2022. I still go to therapy every single day, but it would took like the first 3 months for me to even be kind to myself. I was so mad. I was so mad that I couldn't fix myself. I thought I did such a great job of like, being the empath that I am, taking care of everybody else. But the fact that I couldn't take care of me, I couldn't be kind to myself. I could be kind to everybody else. But I couldn't be kind to me because I was like, you've got to do better. But then my therapist, he told me that it takes time and it takes baby steps. And the fact that I was even willing to come to therapy was a huge first step for me. And from her, I learned that it's okay to be kind to other people, but still kind of be mad at yourself because within repetition of talking about it and getting my feelings out, I was able to change that where when I was kind to somebody else, I was kind to myself also. And so now, like at Christmas time, everybody got a gift, and then Gretchen got a gift. So for every gift I gave out, I gave myself a gift. And, I got some bougie Christmas toys. It was perfect. Because, at 62, I'm still techie, and I still love to play with toys and, like, all the tech stuff. So I got myself a lot of tech stuff. But it made me feel better. But it's not just the monetary stuff either. It was the fact that I was doing something nice for myself and not for somebody else. And so for me, that was like a form of self-love. And, you guys both know that self-love and self-care are like those buzzwords, but they're not buzzwords. If you are not taking care of yourself, you can really not take care of anybody else. You might think you're doing a great job. Hey, I did. I was like, I am perfect at this. I can't fix my own shit, but hey, I can fix yours because you know what? Now I'm not allaboutme.com. But it was what was really great is I was going through therapy, like my co-host, and like I said, she's my best friend. She would call me out on my shit all the time. When when she started seeing me like kind of pulling back and trying to put that mask back on, she was all in all day. And she was like that way until I retired on April 10th. I'm so thankful for that. And I'm also super thankful for my wife because my wife gave me permission to heal. And I didn't need that permission, but she gave me that permission. She was mad. She was really, really mad at me for a little bit because I couldn't tell her what was going on. But for anybody out there who's ever been super depressed, sometimes you can't find your voice and you can't find your footing. That was me. I couldn't explain what was going on with me because I'd never felt that way before. But if you want to listen to a really funny episode that kind of like was a prelude to the suicide attempt, go listen to season 1, episode 3. Don't listen around small children or people with sensitive ears. I use the F word a lot in that episode, but there's some true life lessons on how nobody knew at that time I was depressed because a lot of things were out of character for me. Still surprises me. And so when I wrote my memoir, which will be out in like January,
you're going to have to come back and talk to us again before January.
Yes.
I could talk to you guys every week. I love you guys. I have so much to share. But like I talk a lot about like how to recognize when somebody's depressed, right? And people that read the book, I gave it to like 20 people, and they said, they couldn't put it down. It made them laugh and cry, and they walked away feeling empowered. And I want people to be empowered. I want you to take your mental health seriously because ignoring it does not make it go away. It makes it worse. And for the employers out there, this is just, my 411 out to you. There's a lot of things you can do that don't cost you a single dime. There's a lot of free stuff that you can do. And I have on my website, I have a Substack account, and I also have been creating a bunch of articles out on LinkedIn about like mental wellness in the workplace, and what you can do as an employer. Take care of your employees. Like, a lot of people out there are now, thinking that AI is the way to go, and they're closing call centers and things like that. I don't know. Why don't you put your people shoes back on? Think about what that's going to do for your customers. And I don't know. Just be better. Do better. That's my thing. It's like, do better when it comes to your employees. If you're taking care of your mental health, make sure you're taking care of your employees' mental health too.
Yep.
I can tell you this, that and for those CEOs that are out there, and by the way, I've asked a bunch of people, Gretchen, nobody ever has said that they have a line on their P&L, which is a profit and loss statement. There's never a line that says cost of turnover, because turnover costs money. It's expensive, and you don't always get the best employee back that the one that you just lost. And so if you lower your turnover and make your employees happier by being a heart-centered leader, you can then improve their productivity, lower their absentee rate, lower the turnover, and all of that money automatically drops to the bottom line. Did you hear me, guys and gals? I said it drops to the bottom line, which I know you're concerned about your stockholders and all these other folks. Well, be concerned with your people first, because they're the ones that are driving everything. And so that is so important. Do you agree with that?
I do. And, I want to add on to that. This goes out to the private equity firms out there. Take better care of your employees. I understand your purpose is to come in and turn around the company and get it ready for sale, but there is a human cost to that, a true human cost. Be a good employer. And I don't care if the company's failing or not. You can still be a good employer and still care about your employees. Offer them up some resources. There's so many low cost, no cost resources out there. And, I can come in and talk to you about how to spot burnout, how to do better by your employees that are retiring, getting ready to retire, new employees that are coming in, the jaded employees, because Kevin, like me, I spent 45 years in corporate America. At a certain point in my career, I got a little jaded. Okay.
Well, that just happens.
Well,
when you're not given, when you're not treated with respect all the time, and people and the companies take advantage of you, you like you said it earlier. If you've got responsibilities at nights on the weekends, and then they say, "Oh no, you're going to have to work nights and you're going to have to work weekends," you know what you're doing is you're setting yourself up for a disgruntled employee who's not going to be very happy and is only going to be there until they find another job, or even worse, they're going to ghost you while they're still working there and do the least minimum that they can get away with. And that is really a thing, isn't it?
Oh, it's a big thing right now. I know quite a few people that are going to work every day and doing as little as possible because they are so burned out. But, Kevin, the other part of this too right now is that the job market kind of sucks, right? And so
it's horrible.
It's horrible. So people are kind of having to suck it up and go to a job that they hate every day. And these are people that at one point had been very productive members of that environment, your go-to people, who are now just kind of shrinking away and are like, I don't want to deal with any of this. I don't care if you have a problem, go fix it yourself. Go talk to this person. Or the people that are getting left behind when there's huge layoffs. Like as corporate, as CEOs, what are you doing for your employees now once you lay off a whole bunch of other employees? How are you taking care of those employees that are in your company right now? Are you checking in on them? Are they burned out? Are they stressed out? Are they worried? It's all those things. So not only do we have everything else that's going on in the world. But now people are worried if they're going to be able to make their mortgage. Are they next? Survivor's guilt is a huge thing. And I don't think companies do enough to ensure that their employees are okay after that.
Well, and just going to and from work costs you today $1.25, $1.50 a gallon more than it did 3 weeks ago or a month ago. And that comes directly out of the top of the budget. And that affects everybody and everything. And employers need to be sensitive to that, I think, because now people are not making the wages are not going up nearly as much as they could. And now you've got costs going up. I don't know. Have you been to the grocery store lately, anybody? I went to the grocery store and I was looking for the place where I could get a loan to buy groceries. There's got to be a loan officer around here somewhere.
Well, just to get to the grocery store, Kevin, it was $80 to fill my 11-year-old car. I'm like, what's going on?
It's even worse. So in the month of March, you know what our electric bill was for the month of March, and I live in upstate New York.
Oh, and you had bad weather, and so I'm scared to ask.
$900. $900.
I never would have guessed that.
Like my wife and I can afford it, and we are subsidized where we live. But anybody outside of the village line where we live, people were paying upwards of $2,000. We had a really cold, horrible winter. I mean, when I say horrible, it was horrible. And like I said, thankfully we were able to pay it. But it's those kinds of things that are playing in people's minds. Gas, food. Do I heat the house, or does everybody just walk around in a slinky all day and hope to God that you're okay? Right? Those are the other things that employers need to think about. So, don't keep piling shit on top of them while they're at work, while they're trying to figure out how they're going to pay for everything. And how we were talking about kindness. Kindness goes a long way, especially at work. Be kind to your employees. Think about everything else that they're going through. Yes, you have a bottom line to make. Yes, you have all that. But if all your people are pissed off, I'm telling you, you are not going to make your bottom line. If you have happy, engaging employees, your bottom line is not going to be a problem because they're going to want to help. But if they're all burned out, good luck, man. That's all I'm going to say. Good luck.
Gretchen, I gotta tell you, one of the policies that I have, because this is the business that I run and it's my business, and one of the policies I have is if it's your birthday, the company will buy you a birthday present. It is so damn simple to do, but it is so impactful to the person that gets this "I see you" gift, that it's your birthday and congratulations. I got told today, because we just had April, happy birthday again, by the way, and I gave her the company gave her a gift, and the operations manager said, you made her cry. And it's because she wasn't expecting anything like that, because nobody does that. But it's so simple to do, Gretchen, and it doesn't cost you. And I will make that up in her work ethic and her productivity and her loyalty over time, far more than any $20 or $50 or whatever it was that I would give them. And why don't more companies see that kind of thing? Because that's human. That's important, isn't it?
It is. But yeah, I still think a lot of companies out there have these blinders on, right? They have these blinders on, and all they're looking at is that bottom line. They don't care. You know what? You want to be successful in this world? Care. Goes a long way. Care about your employees. I know you're laughing because, like I said, I'm a tiny bit jaded, but care about your employees. Care that, they are struggling. Care that they even bothered to show up to work today, because I'm sure that most of them are like, I just want to call out sick because I'm done. But they're not. They're showing up every day, whether they want to or not, because they still have responsibilities at home. So your responsibility to your employee, be nice.
Well, and
pay them.
Kevin, it creates a culture, especially with us here at Positive Talk, that we'll all be involved in who's getting what for their birthday. It's like we're all planning it, we're all interested, we're all caring and looking out for one another. Like, what? It doesn't even cost us anything. It adds to the value of your life. So why not? I don't get it. Kevin
And
does.
you know, Gretchen, a lot of leaders, or I'll call them managers, because there's a difference between a leader and a manager. But a lot of these guys are looking up. They're looking at the next promotion. They're looking at how to please their boss, how to kiss up to them so that they can get a little bit more pay, or maybe a little bit of a bonus or whatever. They don't look at the most important thing, where they need to look at the people that they are managing, because those are the people that are going to get them the bonuses and stuff. It isn't the boss, it's the people that are responsible and are working with them. And you need to know what's going on with each and every person that works with you, every team member. You need to know what's going on with them, because they will impact your business. Like you said, there are people that are still working and they're ghosting the employer by doing as little as they can. And if everybody does that, then nobody gets in trouble. Have you noticed that?
I did. I noticed that. Like when I used to work for the company that I retired from, we merged with another company, and after we merged with that other company, girl, let me tell you, like I'm going to tell you, half the company checked out, because for a couple of reasons. One, it happened during COVID, and we were all trying to figure out the digital world, and like watching little kids run back and forth naked while we're on Zoom calls. But just what they did to like the whole dynamic of the company, right? They took this really super unicorn, once in a lifetime company and turned it into shit. And they weren't kind about it at all. And there were a lot of lifelong employees there. I mean, by the time that had happened, I was super close to retirement. But I'm telling you, the day that I got that, like, you were eligible for early retirement, it took me less than 5 hours to sign that thing. I opened it, I sent it to my attorney, I sent it to my wife, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna sign this shit right now." I don't care. Like, and it wasn't the best package in the world, but it was an out.
Yeah.
Exactly. And by the way, Rochelle, when we go to break, I want to play this for Gretchen, but to give us her websites again, and then I'm going to play this little piece. I want your opinion on it.
Okay.
Perfect. Make sure that you're visiting what she has to offer at Schoser Solutions.com. That is spelled SCHOSER Solutions.com. And the podcast, make sure you check it out, because there's a lot of shit going on in our heads, y'all. Goes on in our heads.net, and maybe you can feel a little less alone and more understood. And stay with us. Kevin's going to play a great point to ponder.
Here's another point to ponder by Positive Talk Radio. After all these years of conversations, one truth keeps coming back. Every business is a people business. Behind every company, every brand, every decision, there are people trying to do their very best, trying to lead well, trying to stay connected, trying to grow without losing themselves or each other. When people flourish, everything else follows. Teams become stronger, leadership becomes clearer, and purpose becomes real. That belief is why Positive Talk Radio exists. To create space for real conversations, to amplify voices that lead with heart and intention, to remind us that at the center of every success story is a human one. That is where transformation begins. And welcome back to Positive Talk. Gretchen, what did you think of that piece?
Loved it. I love all your pieces. Like, you are like totally showing us up, but you know what? It's all good. Like, people, a people first business is truly the way to go. It lets everybody to bring their heart to work and lets people really shine. And most people, I can just say it from my point of view, but every company I've been to, all my colleagues became family. I'm friends with people that, I worked with 45 years ago. When you have that type of family environment, everybody's working to help each other out.
Yep.
But also, when you have that family environment and when you have a huge layoff, it really breaks that family apart. Going back to what I was saying before, I don't know, do better. Okay, you're going to have a layoff. Be transparent about it. Be helpful. Have an EAP line or crisis counselors available to your employees. Because if you don't think it hurt them mentally, you are seriously off your rocker. It hurts everybody.
And I can only say this as well. And Rochelle, I want your opinion on this as well. But don't use the term RIF. RIF is reduction in force. What that means, people, is that you're firing human beings. And so don't say, oh, the company's going to go through a RIF, and because that's a sanitary position rather than the reality of you're now going to force people to not be able to buy what they used to buy or to have their passion of they may have loved that job and they're not going to be there anymore. Rochelle, what do you think?
It's crazy how we talk about this because somebody close to me in my life right now has a job that they're working in a company that is all these things we're talking about and not the good stuff. I think they need a little bit of help. I'm going to turn Gretchen loose on them and some other people because they seriously need it. But Gretchen, it reminds me of something that I read this morning. And no, Kevin, it's not about the Glock. But it was a quote that said, it was in my mind. I was just telling Kevin, I was thinking about it. I read a quote that made me think, if when we die, we don't take anything physical with us, what do we take? Each other. We take people with us. We're born with people, and that's what we take when we go. And all the rest of it falls into line when we have each other. So separating yourself and isolation, it's kind of like asking to live in your own version of hell when there's a beautiful world with beautiful people in it all around you. It took me a while to figure it out too, but it is possible. Gretchen did it. Kevin did it. I'm doing it, and it's worth it. You're worth it. Do you agree, Gretchen?
I agree. We have to let people in, whether we want to or not. I'm ashamed. I didn't let anybody in. I did eventually, like right after the call to 988, but I did let them in.
But Gretchen, now you must forgive yourself and not hold it against yourself for things that you may have done that you didn't know any better in the past, because now you do, and now you're making those changes. So you should be ecstatically proud of yourself.
I am. I'm so proud of myself. I was just telling my wife yesterday how proud I am. How proud I am of my business, how proud I am of showing up for myself every single day, showing up every single day for my customers, and doing the things that bring me joy, not anybody else. Because listen, I told you I don't care anymore. Right? If you don't like me, I don't care. And I get to do the things that bring me joy and help out our community. And if I can plug one thing that I'm doing right now that I'm the most proud of, I live in rural upstate New York, and when I mean rural, I'm like rural. And I am teaching free AI courses up here. And it's all beginner AI. It's all free. And I, the way I get paid is I go to local businesses and have them sponsor me so I can keep these classes free for the people that need them. Because by the time technology gets up here, everybody is clueless. So I'm doing that. And like in the next month or so, I'm going to start offering free online courses for AI, for somebody who uses it every single day and can give it to you like in a smart way. I also build a free app, and I'll give you guys that information too. It's learning AI with Gretchen.lovable.com or something like that. I can't remember what it is. It was a while ago, but it's all part of me giving back. And I want people to see me as a story of hope, because at that very darkest point in my life and that glimmer of hope that something was going to get better, it did. It got far better than I ever imagined. I'm going to be 63 in about 2 months. and I'm still firing on every single cylinder. So if you're sitting in your chair right now and you're in your early 40s or late 50s and you're like, what am I going to do with my life? Do something that brings you joy. And that is my key, is do things that bring a smile to your face.
Well, one of these days, I hope to be able to do that too. It's like
So lucky you.
I do this because I love it, and we get to talk to Gretchen, who is dynamic. You're going to have to come back. We love you, and we are excited that your podcast is going and doing well, and it's so great, and you are a shining star because 60. By the way, 63. You're just a child. You may not buy this.
I feel like the middle child right now. Because I don't think Rochelle's like our age, so it's okay.
Well, you are kind of a middle child at the moment, but Rochelle, go through all of Gretchen's information so that we can and then we're going to ask a special favor of you at the end.
Okay. Kevin, thank you so much for allowing these conversations to be possible. Gretchen Schoser, thank you so much for spending your time with us. Make sure that you visit her websites. SchoserSolutions.com is the one if you need help with some of your business or know someone who does. And goesoninourhead.net is where you can go to check everything out about some of the shit that goes on in your head that you're not so alone with. So I love that you've made that possible. Gretchen, will you please come back and talk to us again in the future just to keep updated and follow along with what you've got available and going on?
I would love to. This was like one of my favorite conversations ever.
Well, and ain't quite done yet, because now I want you to tell our audience anything that you would like them to know that will have long-lasting value that they can take with them.
My big thing right now is no matter what you're going through, you are loved, wanted, and needed in this world, and you are enough. You are never a burden to anybody. If you are struggling, whether it's at work, at home, or you're by yourself, call somebody. Call 988. Call your best friend. And if you are a best friend that gets that call, take that time to take that phone call, because you might be saving somebody's life. One of the best YouTube videos I've ever seen is the one from Simon Sinek. It's the 8-minute video. Every time I watch it, I cry. We all have 8 minutes for people. Every employer has 8 minutes for an employee. Take the time, save lives, and just remember that you are enough, no matter what you're doing. And I don't care what you're doing, but you are enough. And be kind to yourself. Like Rochelle said, like, no more negative self-talk. Be kind to yourself. And if you're one of those ghost employees out there, I promise you things will get better, but you have to find your joy intentionally. It's not going to just show up someday. So go out and find your joy.
And you sparked something in me, so I have to add this. If you're one of those employers that doesn't have 8 minutes for your employee, quit.
Yep.
You're not doing anybody any good, and you're causing harm to your company, to your business, to your stockholders, to everybody that's involved with it. Get the hell out if you can't have 8 minutes for your employees. Gretchen, do you agree with that?
100%. Like 8 minutes. What is that? That's like making a walk to the bathroom or getting a cup of coffee. You have 8 minutes. That 8 minutes could save somebody's life. He could save that employee from being like, you know what, deuces, I'm out. Walking out. It saves so many things. And you know what it does, Kevin? This is what it does. It shows that you care. That's what it shows, that you actually care about your employees.
Well, and if you're somebody who's convinced that you're not someone who cares and you don't have 8 minutes, take a look in the mirror. You're probably the one who needs it, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, ladies. This has been a great show, and and Gretchen, you're going to have to come back. I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. I would jump at a chance to come back.
Yes.
Well, you don't have to jump. You're doing fine, and I don't want you to break anything. So, thank you everybody for paying attention today. This has been a great show, and we're going to be back with another great show in about 24 minutes. So we'll have a great day, everybody. Thank you. Thank you for being part of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where stories inspire and voices remind us of what truly matters. May today's conversation give you hope, courage, and a reason to keep moving forward. And just remember, till next time, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got.